Good morning. Please welcome 3-day session, a very interesting presentation. And first is presentation Gabrielius Simas Sapiega. Gabrielius Simas Sapiega, his research interests include contemporary music and theoretical system as well as philosophy. Please.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning. My name is Gabrielius Simas Sapiega. I'm currently work at the Department of Musicology at the Lithuania Academy of Music and Theatre. Today I have the honor of taking part in this conference dedicated to Mikalojus Konstantinas Čiurlionis. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to my colleague, Professor Gražina Daunoravičienė, whose encouragement and insightful suggestions inspired me to prepare this presentation and to approach Čiurlionis' works from a fresh perspective. In the broader context of European music at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, many composers were down to esoteric and mystical ideas that sought to unite art, philosophy, and spirituality. Alexander Scriabin, influenced by the theosophical teachings of Helena Blavatsky, envisioned art as a transformative, almost divine force. His works, such as Prometheus, the poem of fire, and the unfinished Mysterium, embody a cosmic vision and a synesthetic understanding of creation. Richard Wagner's Parsifal expressed Gnostic and Rosicrucian concepts. Eric Satie was directly involved with the Rosicrucian order and composed Sonnerie de la Rose-Croix in its honor. At the same time, Claude Debussy collaborated with symbolist poets fascinated by occultism, while Carlos Szymanowski's early music radiates a sense of Eastern mysticism and transcendence. Within this esoteric and symbolic milieu, Mikalojus Konstantinas Čiurlionis emerged as a particularly remarkable figure. His artistic worldview reflects a profound spiritual quest that intervenes visual and musical expression. In both his paintings and musical compositions, one finds an interesting system of symbolic and cryptographic elements suggesting a deliberate connection between sound and written sign. His letter to his brother Povilas reveals a distinctive coded language, while a trace and musical cryptography appears throughout his score. Features notes by scholars including Darius Kučinskas, the text of Mikalojus Konstantinas Čiurlionis piano music genesis aspect, Gražina Daunoravičienė, Mikalojus Konstantinas Čiurlionis, his time and our time, and also monography exploration of a modernistic identity of Lithuanian music, and Vita Gruodytė, trace of Lithuanian music identity. In this presentation, I will examine Čiurlionis' use of musical cryptography. My aim is to show how this code structure reveals deeper layers of meaning in his creative work and situate them within the broader philosophical and aesthetic context. I hope that this inquiry will open new pathways for disciplinary interpretation of Čiurlionis' legacy. The tradition of encoding text dates back to antiquity. Many authors and scriptography writings either to protect knowledge or the endow it with special power. For example, medieval alchemists and occultists concealed their wisdom behind veils of symbols and metaphors so that outsiders could not grasp their secrets. Such caution was motivated not only by a desire to avoid persecution or competition, but also by the belief that secret knowledge should not be accessible to everyone. It was meant only for the initiated. In the occult tradition, hidden knowledge is often inscribed in codes letters, and various magical alphabets serves to encode secret ideas. Nevertheless, many of these ciphers were easily decipherable. Their true value lay more in the aesthetic and ritual effects, creating an aura of mystery and sacredness around the text. In modern times, the text encoding has often become a form of creative expression. Writers and creators of imaginary worlds have deliberately invented new language and writing systems to lend authenticity on their worlds and to satisfy their own linguistic and artistic impulses. In what follows, we will discuss each of these cases from alchemical symbols to artificial alphabets, revealing the history and intentions that lie behind such encoding writings. Historically, alchemists and astrologers created numerous symbol systems to encode formulas and spiritual knowledge. As early as the Renaissance, entire magical alphabets appears. For example, the so-called Theban alphabet, also known as the witch's script. It was the first described in the 14th century manuscript, the Sword Book of Honorius, and later popularized by Johannes Trithemius in his work Polygraphia as a secret alphabet for encoding message and spells. This alphabet consists of 24 unique characters corresponding to the Latin letters, making it convenient for reading text unreadable to the uninitiated. Other occult alphabets were created in a similar way by simply substituting regular letters with symbolic ones. In the third book of Occult Philosophy by Henrik Cornelius Agrippa, we find the celestial alphabet, also known as the angel script, which was believed to be used for communicating with angels and invoking celestial powers. The signs of this alphabet are abstract symbols associated with planet and spiritual emotions, whose they were often employed in talismans and magical symbols to enhance the efficacy of rituals. Another alphabet mentioned by Agrippa, transitus fluvi, in Latin for passing through the river, consists of 22 intricate symbols and thought to be based on the structure of a Hebrew alphabet. Alchemical treatises also use the symbols representing planets and metals, for example, the sun, Mercury, the air, the salt, etc., many of which visually resemble modern mathematical and scientific signs such as the cross, the triangular, or the circular dot. This suggests that some modern mathematical symbols organized from or closely resemble ancient occult notation. Therefore, symbols found in text can evoke association with alchemical or astrological symbols, since similar signs appears in ancient manuscripts where they serve as codes for hidden or esoteric information. Some unusual ciphers make use of signs borrowed from mathematical or musical notation. In the world of music, there exists a long-standing tradition of encoding words through notes, so-called musical cryptograms. As early as 1641, the English scholar John Wilkins, in his treatise Mercury, or The Secret of Swift Messenger, describes a method of using sequence of notes to convey secret message. His idea was to substitute ordinary alphabetic letters with musical notes names A, B, C, D, F, G, also with the accidentals, sharp and flats. In this way, the result was a melodic message that would be intelligible to outsiders, while the intended recipients familiar with the cipher key could decipher the text either by ear or from the notation. After Wilkins, such musical codes attracted the interest of a wide range of people, from spies to mystics. For example, the famous composer Johann Sebastian Bach in the 18th century embedded his own name Bach in his composition using the corresponding notes B flat, A, C, and B natural according to the German system of the note naming. Later composers also delight in concealing words or names in the work using note symbols to represent particular letters. I show the Čiurlionis. It's from Čiurlionis' letter to brother Povilas. Also, you see the alphabet. This historical practice demonstrates that the relationship between music and language has long fascinated people. Therefore, if we encounter symbols such as sharp or flat, the double vertical bar resembling a bar line, or radical sign similar to rest signs within a mysterious text, it is reasonable to suspect that the author may have intentionally employed elements of musical notation. Such writing may have been designed to lend to the text a sense of musicality while simultaneously concealing deeper meanings, much like how numbers or geometric symbols are sometimes used in scribe writings for the string visual form. Many esoteric thinkers have explored the link between music, mathematics, and cosmic harmony. For example, Pythagoras' music of the spheres, or the theory of Athanasius Kircher. It is therefore not surprising that we find the influence of mathematical and musical symbolism even within secret or mystical writings. Finally, the mystery of some texts lies not in ancient symbols, but in the entirely newly invented scripts. Such constructed alphabet often arise from artistic motivations. Author deliberately creates unique symbols to evoke the charm of fictional language or to lend authenticity to their works. Interestingly, artificially constructed language also appears in real occult tradition. The so-called Enochian alphabet is a 16th century script created by John Dee and Edward Kelly, who claim it was a divine language revealed by angels. It consists of 21 specific characters, each associated with particular angelic beings or cosmic force. The Enochian language and its scripts forms part of a complex magical system intended for summoning angels and extending forbidden knowledge. Although later skeptic questioned its divine origin, the Enochian alphabet left a lasting mark of Western esotericism and became something for precursor to later artistic angel alphabets. Today, various constructed scripts bears witness to the boundless imagination of humankind. They are created not only to conceal message, but also to invite new form of beauty, to enhance the realism of fiction, or simply to delight in the art of coding itself. Such alphabet, from the mystical to the playful, show the encoding text can be not merely a practical necessity, but also a creative game that enrich our culture with new signs and meanings. The symbolic alphabet created by Čiurlionis fits remarkably well into the broader tradition of occult alphabet, both in its purpose and in its spirit. First and foremost, it functions as a substitution cipher. Each ordinary letter is represented by a newly invented sign, just like the Theban or other magical alphabets. Čiurlionis symbols allowed him to write text, the letters or inscriptions on paintings, in a way that would remain incomprehensible to anyone lacking the key. A surviving letter from Čiurlionis to his brother Povilas reveals a complete version of his code alphabet, accompanied by explanation. This indicates that the artist deliberately designed a full and coherent system, much like occultists who considered their own alphabet by assigning unique symbols to each letter of the ordinary script. It is also noteworthy that Čiurlionis lived during a period of renewed fascination with occultism. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, European artists and intellectuals eagerly explored esotericism, theosophy, astrology, and magic. Upon arriving at Warsaw to study, Čiurlionis immediately immersed himself in a wide range of disciplines. In addition to art and music, he studies chemistry, astronomy, history, and comparative religion, showing an interest in both living and dead languages as well as various written systems. Clearly, as a curious seeker of knowledge, Čiurlionis may well have been acquainted with the idea of magical alphabets, or at least received to creating his own symbolic system inspired by the cultural atmosphere of fascination with mysterious writings. As a symbolistic artist, Čiurlionis shared the symbolist's love of hidden meanings. He was by no means an exception. This Čiurlionis symbolic script visually resembles occult alphabets such as a Theban or angelic script. It's the question which one we can ask. Some of his symbols, judging from published fragments of his letters, are composed of dots, arcs, and brackets, elements reminiscent of a certain Masonic cipher forms, or even of Hebrew Kabbalistic stylistic motifs. Other signs display curved ornament shapes might recall the aesthetic of a Theban script. Allow a dilated visual comparison of these alphabets is beyond our present scope. Conceptually, it seems clear that Čiurlionis invented writings impact a sense of secret and sacredness to this text, much like the occult alphabet once cloaked ritual inscriptions in an aura of mystery. Furthermore, there is evidence that Čiurlionis often used astrological symbols in his note. For example, in his letter, he marked the most using zodiac signs. Signs astrology symbols, those of the zodiac and the planets, are widely used in alchemy and occult tradition. Čiurlionis' inclinations to employ them suggests the presence of an occult visual vocabulary within his writing. This Čiurlionio symbolic alphabet, mysterious and intelligible only to the initiate, is in its very essence akin to the spirit of the old occult alphabet and may even share certain outward similarities with them. When examining Čiurlionio's symbolic alphabet from various perspectives, it's become clear that it is far more than a curious coincidence found in his notes. Rather, it serves as a key to the artist's inner world, his laboratory of thoughts and creation. This alphabet connects to alchemical and occult symbols in that it functions as secret system of sign instead to guard hidden knowledge. It also bears theological and hermetic qualities, as Čiurlionis used it to imbue his art with articular and sacred dimension, inscribing concealed names and employing sacred forms. Okay, and in music, from the surviving archives, sources, and manuscript, we know that Čiurlionis also encoded musical text. One of the first research to address his topic was the pianist and musicologist Darius Kučinskas. He presented Čiurlionis' musical manuscript and deciphered the composer's initials. However, certain errors crept in the process of decoding, and as a result, the same mistakes were later represented in other scholarly publications that use the same examples. And we have this example of decoding manuscript, and we have some places where we can discuss. An obvious error near the letter Z made while decipher the text is quite easy to understand. Other slight more complex issue that may raise question concern the alteration of the notes E near the letter T. The alteration sign shows the bears similarities to both flat and natural. For this reason, I carried out comparison using Čiurlionis manuscripts. Flats in Čiurlionis handwriting, it always has a longer stem that extends downwards from the middle staff line. The lower curved stroke is often bent to the left, forming a small loop. The top is written with a small rounded dot or hook visually resembling the letter L. Naturally, in his writings, it consists of two short vertical strokes with a horizontal line across the middle. It is often slightly slanted but very compact without any curves. It is typically used in resolution when moving from a flattened note back to its natural state. Thus, based on handwritten comparison, I can be stand with confident that the sign next to the C-E-A chord is natural, that is, Čiurlionis deliberately indicates naturalization to flattening. In the other hand, when searching for Čiurlionio's signature within his musical works and taking into account the ambiguity of a sign, it is worth considering that such a chord may be interpreted ambiguously as a variant of the same pitch. For the reason I present newly corrected examples of Čiurlionis connections between sound and letters and his musical signature. The first two works are marked in gray as the comparison with Čiurlionis creating his cryptography system, where any resemblance is likely coincidental. In the remarkable two comparisons, we can discern the possible use of cryptography in one case retrogradically and in the other through enharmonic alterations of the final cadence tones. Okay, who wants to make the photo scan? Now a little bit about the pieces in which ones I found it the signature, and I will try to be fast with conclusions. The theme of Čiurlionis in Fugue E minor begins with a distinctive melody gesture, a stepwise rise of 3 to 4 notes, followed by a slight chromatic slate, and finally intervallic followed by close the phrase. This is not literal transcription of a signature. Čiurlionis did not encode the relationship of letters to notes directly, yet the melodic contour, its directional flow, presently mirrors the structure of a name phrase. In other words, the theme draws the graphic form of MKC monographic in sounds, beginning ascent, small shift, descending like the movement of the signature lines on the paper. The second example, in the upper staff, within the first 3 measures, we find the canon theme, a short melodic line that begins in height register from the rarer tense note that descends diatonically almost without leaps, afterwards appears in chromatic fracture, for example, a semitone rise or fall, characteristic of Čiurlionis as a micro gesture of a signature, and finally it's closed with short, firmly resting intervals. The line of mirror that we observe in the sonata in C sharp minor and in this Mikalojus Konstantin Čiurlionis cipher, instead of rising and descending, instead of leaping upwarding, it falls. Instead of an open gesture, it closely inward. The musical line replicates the same form as the name ciphers, but its motion is reversed, making it a kind of mirror gesture or echo of the author. Čiurlionis was very fond of mirror principles, symmetry, inversion, reflection. Therefore, this retrograde signature is likely not accident, but deliberate self-quotation in other dimension. And we have 2 other examples, and what is interesting about this piece, that in the musical example we hear the following phenomenon: the melodic ascending through the nearly all chromatic or diatonic steps from A to G, the including sharps and flats. The result resembles of sonic alphabet, symbolizing the order of the universe from the beginning A to the end Z. At the conclusions, the flat and natural signs appears as if representing the reconciliation of opposites, that unit of earth and spirit. Okay, and maybe I will go to the conclusions. Yes. In other words, Čiurlionis here inscribes not his own name, but the alphabet of the universe itself, the same one that, if you in early examples, was represented by the notes from A to Z. In this research reveals that Mikalojus Konstantinas Čiurlionis' creative works is deeply imbued with encoding symbolism that bride his musical and visual art with esoteric philosophical tradition. The analysis demonstrates that Čiurlionis designed the unique alphabet of science and incorporate the cryptographic musical structure as a form of personal and spiritual expression. This code's elements functions both as an artistic signature inscribing the composer identity and presents the directly in his composition, and as representation of universal cosmic order, reflecting the mystical and theosophical ideas prevalent in his era. Such findings situates Čiurlionis œuvres within a broader fin du siècle context of occult and symbolist arts, highlighting his holistic integration of art, music, and spirituality. Ultimately, deciphering these hidden layers of meaning not only enrich our understanding of Čiurlionis' inner world and creative design, but also opens new interdisciplinary pathways for interpreting his remarkable legacy. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Maybe questions, please? No questions?
Kaip ar kabala buvo visgi taikoma prie tų kriptografijos. Ir dar kitas dalykas, vis dėlto tai nebuvo tik tai toks žaidimas. Antikoje jau prasidėjo šita kriptografija, kabala, dėl ko? Pavyzdžiui, įsivaizduokit, siunčia pasiuntinį per priešo lauką, jį pagauna ir kad tas priešas neiššifruotų žinutės, jos būdavo užšifruotas. Šitas žaidimas, čia netgi ne žaidimas, o šita praktika prasidėjo antikoje grinai praktiškai. Čia nebuvo tik tai intelektualų žaidimas. Tai vat mano santykis su kabala klausimas ir tiesiog patiksniau, aš tikrai irgi domėjausi, tai čia labai įdomiai. Tai yra antikoje prasidėjęs metodas užšifruoti žinias ir labai dažnai pasiuntiniams tai buvo, kurie ėjo ir tada pagavę tą pasiuntinį vis tiek negali perskaityti, nežinant kodo. Tai vienas klausimas ir toks komentaras. Ačiū labai.
Taip, tai tas santykis su antika, tai jis yra iš tikrųjų labai akivaizdus dėl to, kad tuo metu kaip tik ir su teosofija, hermetizmu vyravo neoplatonizmo idėjos, kurios iš tikrųjų galbūt hermetizmas mažiau vyravo Lenkijoje, labiau teosofinės idėjos buvo, bet vis dėlto tai yra susijęs su neoplatonizmu ir kažkokios vienovės siekiu ir aiškinimu per savotišką gamtos ir žmogaus santykiai. Dėl kabalos galbūt tokių tiesioginių aliuzijų, tarkim, ar su kabalos idėja, kaip yra kuriamas pasaulis ir taip toliau, tai būtų sunku atrasti, bet, tarkim, jeigu pasižiūrėjus tuos pačius Čiurlionio laiškus, galima pamatyti, kad yra tam tikrų idėjų, kaip Čiurlionis suvokia pasaulį per gyvybės medį. Ir tikrai yra labai gražu, kaip jisai suvokia tą kažkokią tai dievybę virš visko esančią, kuri savo, sunku pavadinti dievybę, bet tarsi tuos 3 pagrindinius indus, iš kurių teka į kitus sefirotus tam tikrą energiją. Bet labiau sakyčiau, ne kiek jo muzikoje tai atsispindi, o dailėje ir galbūt tas idėjas ir interpretavimą jo muzikos iš tikrųjų pirmą reikėtų palyginus su daile daryti, kaip tai persikelia dailės idėjos į pačią muziką, nes tarsi ir jis buvo iš tų, kuris bandė vizualizuoti muziką kažkokias tai savo tapybos idėjas. Tai va, tai santykis tiesioginio galbūt taip ir nerastume, kad kažkokių šaltinių išlikusių, kad būtų aprašyta, bet žiūrint vat, iš šio tekstų ir kabalistinių idėjų, tai jaučiama, kad yra kabalos ta įtaka. Ypatingai pasaulio struktūros, žmogaus struktūros.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.